Jason.
Danny.
How we doing, buddy?
Feeling good, feeling productive. We've been busy.
Do you know what? What a difference getting this place in order and no longer in a shit tip has been for our productivity. And I'm going to be honest, my mental health.
To be fair, we have a whiteboard now that kind of like has like lists of things to do. And I did make a thing of Danny's concerns and Jason's concerns. And Danny's concerns were quite long. And look at that. Look at the concern board now.
It looks
It's
much
empty.
better.
It's empty.
I mean, it's not empty.
Well, my concerns aren't.
Your concerns need a little bit of work.
I prioritized you this week, Danny. I gave you all my attention.
See, to be fair to you, you did, so thank you.
Yeah.
Because some things have been stressing me out. I won't lie.
I'm back in the game. Ish.
Do you know what? It's nice to have you back because I felt like for a while you weren't always there.
No. Yeah, that's splitting your tasks.
Mm-hmm. But it's been really, really good. We had I don't know if we talked about it in the last podcast, but we've had like a serious quality of life improvement. We now have like a table which is on wheels. Sounds really, really simple, right? But what a difference that thing has made.
Everything was on wheels.
I know, just your whole life.
Just whole life.
Just get wheeled about everywhere.
It's great.
But that has allowed us to actually have basically like, instead of just having a it'll do scenario for like an angle for, because we wanted to do more YouTube stuff, and we've got brands that we work with, and we're partnered with. But with it being on wheels, we can now position it how we want, and it's no longer it's good enough. We've got it. Okay, that looks great.
It's flexible. You just change things up very quickly, and it means you've got so many different options. And the reason we got this space is so that we'd have the flexibility to do different things. And yeah, it's great. So we've been super productive. We've been filming a lot this week for social media and for YouTube. So yeah, those are our long-term objectives. Our long-term objectives is to kind of create obviously the podcast each week, but we also want to be on YouTube for people as well. So hopefully there's some value in what we're creating to help some people.
Yeah, definitely, because we want it to be not only just a podcast, but like a one-stop shop for just aiding and helping filmmakers out there, whether that be with like new gear or different ideas. Like, you know, my section, we kind of talked about this, I am more the gear guy of the two of us, and you are more of the social media and all that stuff guy.
Yeah.
So we definitely have our
interests.
Yes. Yeah. Because I love it. I love gear. It's great.
Once upon a time I did, but at some point it's like, there's just too much.
Oh, there's not enough. There's not enough. There's definitely not enough. But yeah, it's been, do you know what? Like we've done a lot over the past few while. Do you know what we should have done though? We should have kept a journal. But on that note, today's the guest that we have on. Did you like that one?
I was wanting to see how you were going to do it. It was a reach, but I'll give you it.
Is none other than Stevie, a.k.a. Stephen William Weir, a.k.a. Journal Wedding Films. How are we, my friend?
I'm very well. How are you, boys?
Great.
Cracking.
Great, mate. Really looking forward to chatting to you. I think it's been very long overdue, actually.
Getting a Scottish voice on here.
Yeah, but see, to be honest, actually, we've not had a massive amount. Who have we had on that's been Scottish? Cinemate, is that it?
That's it.
Yeah, that's bad crack. We need to sort that out. But very excited to chat to you today, mate. You, obviously, we're good friends, but and we already kind of like know the journey and stuff like that you have been on. But maybe like a number of our listeners out there might not know about you. They should do, and if you're not following Stevie under Journal Wedding Films, please do go and follow him because his work is incredible. But he's got a really, really interesting story that we wanted to kind of like unpack and chat about that and your plans kind of going forward. And we'll probably also get into a little bit of gear chat, much to Jason's disdain.
Yay.
Because if you are watching this on YouTube, you will be able to tell quite quickly that Stevie is a gearhead like myself. Basically has the Gerald Undone. It's like Stevie Undone in the background here. It looks great. So we will get on to some chat about that, but not spend too long on it so that Jason doesn't fall asleep. But first of all, Stevie, for our listeners out there that don't know who you are, can you give them a brief kind of intro into you, how long you've been doing it, and maybe how your journey kind of like started in wedding?
Yeah, for sure. So, I did the math recently, and I have been in the wedding industry for about 18 years now, all in.
Wow.
I think I've been saying 15 years for the last 6 years. So I've been in the wedding industry for 18 years. I left a career in the police. I was in the police just outside Glasgow to go into wedding photography, like full time. And that, I suppose, is the kind of where I've started and then that evolution. So I've been a wedding photographer for a long time, and my experiment and progression into the video space within the wedding industry has been about 2 years. I think I filmed my first wedding at the end of 2023, I think. I would need to go back and look. And then through 24 and 25, it progressed from initially just being a hybrid offering, which we can talk about, like why I thought hybrid was a good idea at the time, and the subsequent change into an independent wedding filmmaking business called Journal, separate from my photography business, and why I primarily for the last 12 months have focused on filmmaking as opposed to photography, and now I basically run the two businesses independently but side by side.
Yeah.
It's only been 2 years. I feel like you've been doing video for so much longer. I guess just those last 2 years have blended into so much that it feels like an eternity. But yeah, I remember when you did start this, it was a hybrid model that you were focusing on, and obviously the video has kind of you've been super successful with it. So the splitting of the two, like, so do you not actually do a hybrid model at all anymore?
No. I've got a few bookings still this year that are the hybrid model, that I still need to service, but I've definitely stepped back from it.
Can I just jump in here though? Just when we're talking about hybrid, I just want to kind of clarify. So when you're talking about hybrid, you're talking about you shooting the photo and shooting the video on the day, or is that yes? So it's like actual hybrid, not as in like bringing a videographer with you and calling it hybrid, because that's essentially just a video and photo team. This is like the hard shit of like balancing the two. This is the like my worst nightmare hybrid.
Yeah, if videoing a wedding wasn't difficult enough, like add photos or vice versa.
So I just wanted to clarify that for our listeners out there that maybe just, because I think some people say that they do hybrid, and it's, in my opinion, it's not.
This is the real deal.
This is the hard shit. So sorry, continue, Stevie.
Yeah,
just wanted to give you a bit of credit there.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I
feel like I'm being chased by a lion all day. Sorry. That's how hybrid feels. So I have done and still kind of do with these bookings that are still in the diary. I'd refer to it more as like a full service hybrid offering, where I am delivering full ceremony, I am delivering full speeches, I am delivering a highlight film of various lengths, plus a full gallery of wedding photos. Now, quite a lot of these weddings, I'll have a second shooter for stills, and that basically covers me during the points of the day where the most stress and focus is on the video, so ceremony, so speeches. It allows me to get set up and mic and things. I have covered like full day weddings hybrid on my own, with varying degrees of success. And one of the reasons why I've stepped away from offering the hybrid model is like a fundamental change in my photography business and what excites me there and where I want to take that business, and allowing me to focus more on this hand, a narrative a more narrative video product
Yeah.
rather than a highlights model
Yeah. Or coverage.
Yeah.
coverage.
Yeah.
So what was it about video? Obviously, you're doing photography, like you said, you've been doing this for 18 years, and
And doing it well.
yeah, doing it really well. So 15 to 16 years in, you're like, okay, you see obviously the hybrid thing kind of kicking off, and you do that for a while. But like video is now kind of taking a pride, like would you say like a pride of place in your sort of, you know, functionality as a business owner. So what was it about it initially that attracted you?
So it probably goes back to like the post-COVID boom, right? That's kind of where this transition for me originates. So COVID happened. We all essentially got laid off for a period of time, and then weddings came back with a vengeance. And like the two of you were a beneficiary of that, and that there was a lot of weddings at the one time.
Yeah.
I think I shot something like 75 weddings the year after COVID, like a lot of shooting, and not to sound too dramatic, but it was probably a little bit of burnout. I characterise it as I fell out of love with photography, with the wedding industry to a certain extent, and I was just treating it like a job.
Yeah.
So I was doing a good job, but then I was coming away from it, and I was, you know, doing other things with my life. And that very concentrated period after COVID meant that I was doing a lot of work, but I wasn't treating my business like a business. So I came out of the boom period of COVID with 11 weddings in the book for 2023, which after 15 years was like a really, really rude awakening. Was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Like, this isn't enough to sustain,
Yeah.
you know, my business. So I went to a conference down south, and I came away from it like not particularly excited about the photography space at that time. Like it didn't provide me any action points. It didn't particularly like inspire me like business wise or creatively. But the one thing I did take away from it, that the things that interested me in the presentations weren't the photos. It was the video footage that a lot of these speakers had captured at weddings, or even like the kind of documenting of their process to then use to promote like their talks and their photography. It was the video aspect that really grabbed me, and I thought, right, well, I need to make a change in my business, and if I can charge an extra £1,000 per wedding by shooting a 3 to 4 minute music style highlights video, didn't want to touch audio at all. Like, no thank you, please. Then that might be my like saviour. That might be my way out here.
Yeah.
So I shot a couple of videos alongside photography friends of mine who the wedding didn't have a videographer, and I went along and I did maybe a little bit of second shooting for the photographer, and I captured these highlight videos, and I kind of quickly realised that I wasn't shackled anymore by the weight of expectation of being the photographer. Like, I was at that wedding and there was no, I don't know if expectations is the right word, but I didn't have to do anything. I could make the film that I wanted to make, that I felt best represented this couple, their families, and this wedding. And I kind of quickly realised that videography as I had understood it was no longer the same. So I used to view, and I think a lot of photographers would probably hold their hands up, like 10 years ago, photography was the creative thing on the wedding day, and videography was like a documentary representation. So it was your ceremony, your speeches, your first dance, some 45-degree candids of the group shots, like, and that kind of was what I had got used to in a lot of the videography space. Now, it evolves and changes over time, but I've quickly realised that, no, actually, like, videography is potentially the more creative aspect.
Yeah, it's so interesting, like going back 10 years, because as I was second shooting for companies back then, and that's what it was. It wasn't pushing the boundaries out. You were basically documenting the photographer's day. Like that was your job, just document things, and it didn't feel that creative. Obviously, at the end of it, you got, you know, a kind of a musical montage of it, a couple vows and speeches. But what it is today is so different to that. It's something interesting that you said there, is that you felt kind of like the shackles were off from the expectation. Does that mean that you're sort of approaching a wedding day sort of invisible, like you're not necessarily getting involved in any of the direction or anything, maybe to a certain extent, but are you just sort of, you're kind of floating around behind the scenes, kind of letting the day unfold, but just looking for those moments?
I definitely think that I don't approach a wedding in a passive way, if that makes sense. But it's definitely not in a prescriptive fashion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't define it as behind the scenes, because that seems quite passive to me. And I'm not passive on the Wendy. I'm there. And I'm not in MD's face. I'm not directing things, but you're definitely, I think that I'm there to find the story in the wedding. And I'm a firm believer in that there's two stories in every wedding. This is not an original idea. It's not something that I've came up with. But basically, at a wedding day, there's two stories. There's the obvious story, which is what videography and photography has done for years, which is, we are here, we're getting married, we're drinking champagne, we're, you know, eating haggis bonbons, and then we're having a party at the end of it, and that's the obvious story of a wedding day. But there's no surprises there. You know, there's no real narrative. The real story of a wedding day is why you're there, and potentially how you got there. And my job, as I see it, is that I need to find that story, and that story's found in the words that people say, both at times of the day where they're expected to speak, and then also the words they say at other times that you can capture with, you know, your on camera mics and that type of thing. And it's looking for these relationships between people.
Are you, so pardon me, on that basis then, like, are you, interviewing's not the right word, but like, or maybe you, are you asking questions to then elicit a response from certain individuals on the day? I'm just thinking, because I'm assuming, you know, camera, shotgun mic or something like that. Like, are you doing that at all, or is it purely just basically on the conversations that are happening around you at the time?
Sometimes is the answer. Like, there's no one size fits all process to any of these things. Like, I'm quite an introverted person. Like, you know, you will probably both attest to that. I quite like a voice note. But like, I'm not a centre of attention type of person. But if the situation is right, then I will ask a question. Yeah. To elicit a response, if I think that it is appropriate and it is like the human thing to do. Like I make very human films. Yeah. I'd like to think I was quite empathic, and I'm interested in how people are feeling on a wedding day, because I think photography became a bit cookie cutter. Like, I was like, you go up, I would do the same thing, quite a homogenised product at the end of the day. Like, all my photo galleries all looked very pleasantly the same. There was no kind of real surprises in there. I think the best way for me to explain it is to give an example, right? And this is on my website, so I'm not like, you know, it'd be good for the SEO, but like, not, everybody doesn't need to run to my website. But I shot a wedding quite early in 2024. It was kind of March time. I think it was maybe the 4th or 5th wedding that I ever shot, and it's still on my website. And it's up at Drumtaughty, which is in the kind of Highlands of Scotland. And I had never met the couple before. I had never spoken to them. I had got this job via the photographer, who was like, "Oh, this, I know you're interested in shooting more video. This is going to be a really lovely wedding. They don't have a videographer. Would you like to come along and shoot it?" And they were an American couple. They were from Seattle, and they had come over, and they were a very like emotionally mature couple, if that makes sense. There was a lot of like big emotions on that day. Not to get into too much details, but there had been a history of quite serious mental health with the couple, and they had kind of came through that, and this wedding was part of that celebration. Now that's a very sensitive topic to negotiate, because weddings are a happy occasion, but they can be reflective of how it is that you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing the traditional North American thing where they were doing a first look. So it was just me and the groom outside waiting on the bride coming. And the groom is a really, really nice guy, and he's like standing there and I'm standing there. And like, I don't know if he knew that I was recording. He was mic'd up for the first look anyway. And I just asked him how he was feeling and what he was most looking forward to. And he initially teared up, and you'll be quite surprised actually because you know me, but I went and I gave him a hug.
Oh, well.
You know, which is the human thing to do. Yeah. And then he told me exactly how he was feeling. Now that is a very North American thing. Yeah. Your average kind of British couple might not give you that, but he explained that Leslie, like his wife, had been so looking forward to this wedding, and that she deserved this wedding, and everything that they had been through to get there, and basically how it made him feel. And I opened that film with that groom telling me that story, and I think it's a minute and a half. Wow. It's a long opening of just him speaking. There's nothing else. It's just him speaking.
See moments like that. I've had a few times where I've had chances to capture things like that, and I sometimes wonder if I've got a camera here, are they going to give me the same level? Because the conversation, I'm there to capture the day, and I know that's my responsibility, but they're almost treating me like a human at this point rather than the videographer. Like, is the camera just at your chest? Is it up at your eye level? Like, are you actively making it known that you're capturing moments like that?
So, I've changed my working process a little bit now, but at that point I was a monopod guy, and the camera was sitting on the monopod.
Nice.
And I'm standing next, so I'm not behind the camera. I am like next to the camera,
just wide.
So I am interacting with him. Yeah. He's not interacting with a camera. He's interacting with me.
Monopod's a good tip for that then, actually, because when you're holding a camera, it's very obvious when that's positioned towards someone. Like, no one holds a camera naturally like that, but on a monopod, that's actually really good. I've been tempted with
I think as well, yeah, because it's then not obvious to them that they're being filmed as well. Do you know what I mean? Which, because if you're like that, holding it up, right? What do you think? How do you feel?
That's the thing, because sometimes I get that emotional moment, and I'm like, go like this, but like I'm gonna have a conversation with you, but I know I'm recording you. I want you to be as genuine with me as possible, but there's no way.
Let the guard down.
Yeah. So as soon as you put that on a piece of equipment like a monopod, especially in moments where you know there might be a bit of vulnerability, like a first look, monopod is actually a good shout for that. But you said you're no longer a monopod guy.
No longer a monopod guy. I've kind of changed my working approach a little bit. I used to be like manual focus. It was like purely manual focus lenses. I used a lot of like the Zeiss Milvis lenses, which are beautiful. I've kind of was missing things because I couldn't react quick enough.
Yeah.
Like monopod can be quite unwieldy at times. So I've switched back to some of the newer RF lenses, which don't quite have the same like visual feel, but you react a lot quicker. So the things that I felt was missing in my films, I can now capture.
Yeah.
In a better way.
Yeah, I mean, camera companies and Amazon, Stevie helps keeps the light on, keep the lights on, because for the amount of gear that Stevie has bought over I love talking about gear to anybody, and There's not many people that I think tends to get more gear than I do, but Stevie is definitely one of them because he's went through so many different camera brands, camera lenses.
Getting gear excites me. I just don't like the research of it. It's like,
No, that's
just
one of the best
I
bits.
just
The
want
research
solutions.
is great, and then you get it, and then you're either pleasantly surprised or you're like absolutely raging and send it back.
I just go over analysis on everything, and analysis paralysis is what I get when I
Alright.
research gear. I'm like, I just want the
Get
answer.
that tattooed on your arm.
If your editing backlog is stressing you out, Bride and Groom Video are here to help.
You get a dedicated account manager that matches an editor to your unique style, so your films can get delivered without the overwhelm.
Listeners of That Wedding Videographer podcast get £75 off their first order by using the code TWVP75.
And for UK videographers only, brideandgroom.video have launched a special package price for feature and highlight films just for you.
Plus, you'll also get an extra discount in ceremony and speeches.
This makes it much more cost effective to use brideandgroom.video as your editing studio.
Send your footage, send your brief, and they'll sort the rest.
Hasta la vista, backlog. So I want to just take us back just a little bit then, because I think you've made deliberate decisions and there's been intention. You know, you kind of touched on it earlier about trying to go into like a different market. You know, like that has been your intention. What were some of the steps, I guess? So you've set up the business, you've set up Journal. What steps did you take to try and get into those other markets?
So I utilised the hybrid aspect of my photo business to my advantage in that I could shoot weddings hybrid underneath that brand, but feed that content, I hate that word, but feed that footage to Journal.
Yeah.
So I could cross them over in that aspect, but I don't really particularly enjoy crossing them over any more than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like to keep them very separate. I have occasionally had inquiries for the same couple for both businesses, which is always a little bit awkward. Because you're like, oh, I'm actually already shooting your wedding as a photographer.
Highly recommend Journal wedding films over here.
So that allowed me to do that because I have been like established in the photography space for a long time. You are shooting nice weddings at nice venues, and I have a lot of long-standing relationships with a couple of different planners, with a couple of different venues that perhaps allowed me to shoot a better type of wedding. I don't know if that's the right, I don't know if I want to use that word, but to shoot the type of wedding that I wanted to shoot in that business.
Yeah.
Rather than more budget orientated weddings, I was able to shoot like a higher budget wedding quicker.
Yeah.
The Journal business originated from one, I found that I was enjoying filming a lot more. I was enjoying like not having quite the same responsibilities as I did as a photographer. Not that you've got no responsibilities, but your responsibilities are different.
Yeah.
And the expectations on you are different, and the stresses are different, and you know, sometimes a change is as good as a rest. But I found, or I thought, that I am much more likely to get referrals from my photographer friends in the industry if they are not having to refer another photographer.
It's true.
Because if I've got Sarah at Joy Story who would like to recommend me for video, you probably don't want to recommend a hybrid guy because, you know, they might think, oh, we'll just get this hybrid option as
Fair.
opposed to booking Sarah and booking me.
Yeah, makes
so
sense.
I thought that would work better for me, and it allowed me to set my branding, set my target audience, set my ideal client, set my ideal price points at the market that I wanted, but still have an income from my middle market photography business.
See, a lot of people might think, you know, starting a new brand, you kind of need to start, you know, and work your way up. Whereas you came in very strong. Obviously, you've got years of experience, and that is, you know, testament. But explaining that value to couples, Was there any part of journal that explained your history within the industry and why you were, suited to do video for them rather than photo?
So it's part of my process when I get on a call with a couple that I explain that I've been in the wedding industry for like a long time. A lot of that time has been as a photographer. So I still very much think about the visuals of the wedding like through that lens. To use a pun. So I think as a photographer, it allows me to work very well with photographers because I know what I would be doing in that situation. Like I can think in that capacity. But then I also think it gives you an innate understanding of composition, of light, of maybe sequencing that I don't need to learn for video because I've already done that work 15 years ago. And I can apply all of those things that I learned making the still image to making the moving image.
I think it's very apparent when you watch your films, the photography background in you when it comes to, like you said, what you said there, understanding like your composition is phenomenal, all that stuff you can tell, and it's so much like leagues above what I even see. It's like Josh from Luna DeMille, like that type of kind of like composition. It's just not how my brain works when it comes to seeing an image.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
when I watch journal wedding films, it's very immersive in the scene. And I think the composition definitely has a lot to play with that. I watched a bunch of your films before for the British Wedding Film Awards, and there you showed me a few different examples of your work. One obviously being in America, one an elopement, and another really small intimate wedding ceremony, and how each of them you just felt like it seems weird to say that you're just in the room because obviously a camera's in the room, but it genuinely just felt like you were looking at the wedding through the eyes of someone that was invited there, and a composition definitely has a lot to play with that. And I think that's it seems it almost looked like you were very selective over the places you wanted to be, and you weren't overshooting. You were just capturing what you kind of thought was the most important. It's just for me, like it's just me as a videographer, I'm someone who goes in and captures as much as I can, and then at the end of it, I've just got a big messy puzzle piece, which I'm not sure if I'm alone in that as a videographer or not. I think
No, you're not.
Yeah. So like, do you think that videographers are capturing far too much, or like is that your process as well? Like, are you very selective when you walk into a room and think, this is the story here?
So I am still shooting a lot, right? But I think it's what you're choosing to shoot is perhaps maybe slightly different or a little bit more considered, or I have learned from my own edits, like, okay, I don't have enough of actually what it is that I want to like use in my films. I think just to go back on something that you said there, and something that I've thought about a lot, I've done a lot of mentoring, both in the video space and now also in the photo space. Like even after so long in the industry, I found it really, really helpful. And I think part of what I've came to realise is that you have been invited to that wedding, right? You have an agency there, and I think it's up to us as creatives in that space to have authorship over that and to take up that space in an appropriate way on a wedding day. And I think we can all be a little bit too, at times, like want to be in the background a little bit too much, or sometimes we'll interrupt something that's happening to move it into a better spot, or just kind of break the flow. And there's like this line to be threaded between being present and like ensuring that you are, I'm trying to think of the right words here. I never want somebody to watch my films and think, oh, that's when he made us do that. Like that's when the photographer or the videographer made us do that. Like, I want it to feel more genuine, more authentic than that, even if I have steered things in that direction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
like, I'm a big fan of a really long clip, right? I'll shoot a really, really long clip, and I'll move sometimes during that clip, rather than stopping and starting. And I favour in my films like a much longer clip. It's maybe bucks the trend a little bit, but I want whatever's happening to have enough interest to warrant your attention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my films are quite heavy on ceremony and speeches footage. I'll have quite big chunks there where you are looking at the person that's speaking, or my personal preference is you are looking at the person who's being spoken to. So if you have a groom and he's delivering vows, then you want to focus on the person that he's delivering the vows to a lot of the time, rather than just watching somebody speaking, reading from their notes and looking up every now and again. Like, I want to feel how that person feels somebody delivering those vows to them. It's because we're just used to doing the obvious thing.
Well, on that bombshell, we'll be right back with Stevie after this quick break. Looking to upgrade your cameras? Well, let's introduce you to the new Lumix flagships, the S1R2.
And the S1 II. Some of the features we love about these cameras are:
On the S1R2, being able to crop in past the APS-C in pixel mode, giving you 3 focal lengths from 1 prime.
and the S1 II is also feisty, giving you 5.1K open gate at 50 frames a second.
Both of these cameras have 100 frames a second with a 1.1 crop.
Plus, both these cameras come with industry-leading IBIS, which Lumix is known for.
Lumix also has a loan scheme which allows you to borrow these cameras for 48 hours so you can try them out and make sure that they're the camera for you.
Not only will they deliver them for free, but they'll also pick them up for free as well.
Use the code TWVP at the Lumix store for 10% off.
Check the link in the show notes below.
Touched on it a little bit earlier when we were chatting, but I just kind of wanted to kind of talk about it briefly as well, because you mentioned that you have invested in education, primarily in mentoring.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit about that? Maybe like, you know, who you've kind of sought mentoring for, the difference that you, or the impact that you feel that has made, and then you can obviously let us know if you feel like it's been worthwhile or not. Kind of, I already know the answer to that question, but just for our listeners out there, and I guess because I think for a lot of people, they look at it and they guess there might be a bit of value in it, but don't maybe fully appreciate how much value you can actually get out of mentoring the right mentor for the right reasons.
So I think you get out of mentoring what you put in, and you've got to be open to that process, and it's not always super comfortable, but growth isn't comfortable. So one of the main reasons that I decided on mentoring at quite an early stage in my business, despite the fact that I felt like I was filming well and I was like, you know, producing like work quite quickly that I was very proud of, that's still on, like still part of my portfolio today, was that I had spent so long in the wedding industry, in the photography space, very much in the kind of like the middle. Like, I didn't want to make the same mistakes. Like, I did not want to have 2 mid-market businesses. I wanted Journal to be the best work that I could produce, and if I felt that there was somebody there that could help me achieve those goals, that could teach me or allow me to have this kind of like almost like peer-to-peer conversation and at certain times, and to reach these conclusions like together about my own work, then that was definitely valuable. So I had very early on, I had a kind of one-to-one session with our mutual friend, Russell Kent Nichols, which was really good, really interesting, and not a kind of ongoing thing. It was kind of one off. We looked at my website, looked at my films. We discussed a little bit about, you know, where I wanted to be in the market. I found that was kind of a taste of there's a lot to be gained from these discussions with other people in the industry that you respect, that are perhaps shooting the type of weddings and producing the type of work that you would like to produce. So I then looked around and I thought, right, whose work do I respect, and who do I think is well enough established that I could get answers to questions that I might have. So not exactly mentoring, but I did the in-person film school with the Lawsons, which was super interesting. It did cement for me the fact that I think photographers switching over to video have an advantage in that a lot of your skills are really, really transferable. Your skills on composition, your skills on storytelling, because you're trying to storytell without words, without movement. So you're kind of thinking about it a little bit differently. I then had a 3-month mentoring with Aaron Kenny, from Aaron Kenny Films. Aaron's like super technical, so there's a lot of nitty gritty in like the editing process and the mechanics of like the storytelling, if that makes sense. So like visually, what makes sense? Like what shots do I need to capture to like lead me through this wedding story? There's a book, it's down there, it's called In the Blink of an Eye, which is a book on editing for films, and it's about where you put your cuts and things like that. So like when you are videoing the pre-ceremony stuff, say you're at a church, like it makes sense visually to show people going into the church before you show people sitting down in the church. And like maybe it's just a shot of like people's feet moving in like through the nice light, but like that visually makes sense and lets our brains know what's happening whilst your other story, your narrative story, is kind of playing over the top. Mm-hmm. So I got a lot out of that 3-month session with Aaron Kenny, and part of the mentoring thing is that you build relationships with your mentors, the people that you speak to. And I still speak to Aaron, like not every week, but like, you know, he still message backwards and forwards and ask questions and that type of thing. And you know, there's things that about DaVinci Resolve that we've kind of figured out together, essentially, as part of that mentoring. And then probably the biggest investment of both time and money was Richard Lang's mentoring. So RL Films, like I think most people will probably know who Richard is within the filmmaking space. And I looked at Richard's films and I was like, okay, that's a little bit of what I would like to work on capturing. And you start off with Richard, and he didn't look at my films for 3 months, because he's like, well, you know, they look good. Like there's other things that we can work on here, and there was a lot of business chat, and there was a lot of like, well, why are you doing what you're doing, and a lot of like quite hard questions, and maybe things that I wasn't fully expecting to be asked or to even be relevant. And it's like, no, actually this is very important to at least think about, and this is the time to do it, which is early on in my business, because I already know how a wedding day works. Like I don't need to learn that. Like I need to apply that experience to making the best work that I can make for that client.
Yep.
So too long, didn't read. Mentoring's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could really, I mean, obviously knowing and obviously speaking to you throughout the kind of 2 and a bit years, obviously that you've kind of been doing video and watching you go and have these different kind of mentoring sessions, you can see the growth and the influence that has then ultimately had on your business in a very, very short space of time, because you were able to just go, right, this is the market I want to be in, so I'm going to reach out to people, for instance, that are in that market to gain from their lived experience and their insight into what I need to be doing to get there. And then you not only have you done that, but you've then taken it a step further to then take that advice and make those decisions that ultimately have led you to start getting into that market now, which I think it's two very different things, isn't it? It's, you can get the advice, you can pay for the mentor, and you can get the advice, and then you can do what a lot of people have done, and myself included, in that, which is not take the steps to actually make the leap that you have done, because it's very different just getting the advice and then just not acting on it. But you have, and that ultimately has had this phenomenal impact, I guess, on not only your business but then your work and the direction that you're going. And it's been really, really, it's been amazing to see that very, very, very steep incline as to how you've went up, I guess, the markets, I guess, and the quality of work that's came alongside it as well. It's very inspiring, Stevie.
Whatever it is that you feel that you would like to know, there's somebody that you can go to and speak to about that. Yeah. Whether it's like you work at a destination weddings, or whether you want to work on like the colour grading or the sound or storytelling or this multitude of aspects of what would you like your work to feel like. You don't need to guess. Like, you can go and speak to like somebody that will be able to help you like achieve that. And not every mentor is for everybody. Like the stuff with Richard's like super in depth, and like you said, that like Danny, some people just might not have the time or the headspace for that. But I think the thing with mentoring is it's like all these things. It's like when you look up LUTs or whatever. There's no magic bullet. Like, you've got to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If you're prepared to do the work, then like there's no really a limit to the value that you can like get from these relationships.
That's when you reap the benefits of it. If you have the time and you're prepared to put the work in to implement the changes or advice that you're given, all those small changes over time, over the course of a year, build up. And then that's when you can see for instance, over the course of a year, how different your business can look if you implement them.
Yeah, the position you're in a year from now is all of the small decisions you've made in the last year that have compounded to get you where you are now. It's not like one magic bullet, as you said. There is a change in every single aspect of your business that you do that gets you forward, and that's not an overnight success. You really reap the benefits of investing in yourself now to get yourself further in the future, whether that's investing in a course or just doing the research manually. A course obviously streamlines that and allows you to ask the questions exactly what you want and get a personalized answer. But there's just so much out there for people, and it's I think so many people have been transformed from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And obviously you mentioned things, like the summit and stuff like that as well, because Stevie, you've been there obviously supporting us for the last couple of years at the summit. What would you kind of like say to maybe somebody that hasn't been to the summit before, as somebody who's been there, for the past 2 years, in terms of like, is it worthwhile? What can they expect to get out of it?
So don't drink too much on pre-drinks. That's like number one. I had a much better time this year than I did last year on the summit day itself. But one of the key things for me is that you've got these speakers, you've got these well respected like figureheads to a certain extent of the industry that are delivering these keynote speeches, but then also like you've got access to them throughout the day. And then there's also other people in the audience that are of equal sort of relevance in the industry. And it's, for me, the main thing from both the summit, and I've only been to the Coda conference once, but it is the coming together of that community and being able to build like these relationships with other people and like talk about your business and each other's businesses and the films that you make, and like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yep.
Is the way that I've always thought about it. And without things like the summit, we're all just kind of on these wee isolated islands, and you maybe have one or two people that you know and that you speak to, and you'll probably speak to a lot more photographers than you do like other videographers in a lot of cases. The biggest thing that helped me in all of my businesses was like finding like-minded people within like the industry.
Yeah.
And the summit is like the fulcrum around which that will turn.
Yeah. Nice. What was your favourite talk or takeaway from the summit from this year?
Was Ben's talk.
Ben? Yeah.
Ben's talk, because Ben's obviously like a really switched on guy, but it was actionable.
Yeah.
Like a lot of really actionable stuff.
Yeah.
There was like, okay, these are steps that you can take, which I thought was like a good balance from a lot of aspirational content, because a lot of these, like the photo space in particular, can be very aspirational. Do you know, not that much concrete. Like dream your dream, shoot your shot, which is amazing. But like at a certain point, you're like, okay, so what are the steps here then?
Yeah.
What are the steps here?
How
then?
does one dream?
You know, yes.
How does one
aye.
shoot said shot?
Yes, I shoot said shot.
Yeah.
Whereas you can be inspired, and then you can be given practical
Yeah.
information that you choose to implement.
Ben's talk was great from that. There has been a lot of
It was.
people that have commented on how it's made them look at their social client, or the client that they're wanting to
Yeah.
attract, how much of a difference that's given them just in the way that they think about things, and then ultimately the decisions that they then make to attract said client. I'm looking forward to listening back to the talk at some point. Jason is editing them at the moment, and they will be available for download on our shop in the very near future. And remember, for everybody that had the VIP access ticket, you will get those as part of your ticket price. But they will be available for purchase on our shop for those of you that couldn't attend or maybe didn't have a VIP ticket. So they will be up on the shop soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
I'm looking forward to it. See, as well, we've talked about it before, but because we are presenting and we're also navigating on the day some hiccups that happened, it's hard to properly pay attention. Obviously, we've got access to the talks prior and being able to look through them, but it's very different from when you're having it delivered by the person that's just, because they're just slides really at the end of the day. So I'm looking forward to listening back to them just to try and get it. But for the bits that I did listen to from Ben's talk, it was really, really good, and you can see how it's the mythology behind it. It makes sense what he was talking about.
Yeah, just even being present, the day was difficult because you it wasn't just like hiccups and things. You are just like focusing on the next aspect when you're hosting. You just don't take it in.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, Ben's up there. I've got 45 minutes to figure out, okay, what's the next part that we need to get sorted.
And then obviously so many conversations a day, it's quite hard to remember everything. So just actually being able to sit down and watch that again, it's just going to be, that was really good. So looking forward to getting out there. But yeah, that's I think, I've been to events and workshops and stuff like that, and I love things like this. So the fact that we get to host one as well is great. But you know, seeing people like yourself, Stevie, who get value from it is just that's what it's all for.
That's why we put it on. That's why we put it on.
Yeah.
But thank you for the endorsement. Last thing on the summit, who are you most excited about kind of hearing or speaking to for next year?
So a filmmaker that I was aware of before the summit was Bach Films.
Yeah.
I've looked at his stuff before. It's very much, which is an entirely different conversation, that Euro style.
Yeah.
Which is like quite different to my own work. But it's like beautiful, and it would be interesting to see what he chooses to talk about.
Yeah.
And what that brings to the summit.
So glad he was top of my list. I was so glad that we were able to secure that.
It's also like every single thing that he posts seems to go viral. It's like, it's incredible.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the guy doesn't miss.
No, never.
It's
I mean,
just-
you shared that story of his latest when you're like, it just doesn't miss. It's
Doesn't
just,
miss. It's like
yeah.
they look consistent but so different at the same time, and that one was shot in England as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows you, like, that's it. Coming to the UK with a UK couple, like it works.
To go back to a previous point that we were talking about, Jason, like, he's not just shooting the obvious thing.
No,
Like,
he's not.
that's what that film is. It's like, what is not the obvious shot?
Yeah.
That's the shot that he shoots.
This
Yeah,
is it.
it's interesting. I think that's the part of it, is because there are just like interesting shots that get shot
Yeah.
that you just wouldn't. I would never dream of shooting.
Like, how
know?
do you
Yeah.
like to get the visual of like them running, and then to shoot the same shot of them running but have the different background? Like it's a simple filmmaking tip. They've seen it, inspiration from elsewhere, but like a lot of us are taking inspiration from wedding films, and all we hear from people who are, you know, the biggest innovators in the industry is that they're getting their inspiration from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I spent a little while watching Patagonia films the other day, just to kind of see like, oh, this is some different filmmaking. So
Yeah,
watch some BMX videos and stuff like that.
just to get some inspo.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're excited for all the speakers, but yeah, I think not that many people seem to be aware of Bach when we were obviously when we first chatted. But if you've not go and it's spelled BACH,
Bach.
go and follow, and you'll very quickly see why we've invited him to come and speak at the summit. I think post summit he'll definitely be a standout for the talks. If you want to give your couples a viewing experience that matches the quality of your films, then VidFlow is the way to go.
Just upload your work, let the couples watch it on their TV, they can view a gallery on their phone, and wrap it up with all your branding so they get the ultimate viewing experience.
Think of it like Netflix, but for wedding films.
Listeners of That Wedding Videographer podcast get 10% off when they use the code TWVP. Hit the link in the show notes to get started.
Level up your wedding film delivery experience today. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the latest, the British Wedding Film Festival, which you entered. You entered a number of films into there. Done incredibly well. Big shout out to Josh, Jeff, and Pete and Laura and the rest of the team for pulling off the film festival. Because it's not easy pulling these things together, but they've done an incredible job. You had, I think you had how many nominations did you have in total? Was it three?
Yeah.
Three, yeah. And rightly so. I think one of your standout ones that a lot of the judges really were talking about was it your film Yellows?
Yellows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible. I remember watching it because I think you sent it across to me when you were first kind of like editing it and stuff, and it's the one where the couple are due to weather conditions. Is it their van? Is it a van?
It's their van. It's their camper van.
Yep, and they're just talking to each other, and it was just it was shot
Yeah,
so
just
well.
saw it.
Some of the shots, by the way, on that beach.
How about? Oh yeah.
I mean, fuck me, Stevie. Like, that is how sometimes like you have like maybe like your couples and they're like, oh, cinema when they like when you've sent them the film. I mean, that was fucking cinema. Those shots were just
It's beautiful. It was my favorite film
That
that you sent me for sure.
That was an incredibly stressful week. And it's like a stressful week personally, because of the moving house situation. It was a bit tense. And then, so the wedding was the Sunday, but there was a storm coming in, and they moved the wedding to the Saturday. Now, we were on, Tyree, myself, my wife, the dog, and Cammy, for that was our summer holiday that year. It was like, we'll wrap this in to the summer holiday. We're not going to get anybody else.
That was it. I remember speaking to you when you were on. I spoke to you that day when you were away in Tyree, I remember.
And it didn't stop raining like once. There's no trees on Tyree because it's so fucking windy. And like, so we're in the house now. This is like where my office was, but the house move was hanging in the balance, and we only discovered that the moment the ferry landed in the harbour, and we got phone signal. So it was all pretty stressful. But they brought the wedding forward a day to hit a weather window on the Saturday, and thankfully they did hit the weather window. But Yellows for me was the kind of culmination of a lot of the mentoring work that I had done, and the kind of self-reflection on like, what do I want my films to look and feel like, and how do I steer things, like taking that authorship, which is like a super important word for me, of that film, but doing it in a like a gentle way, like a tasteful way, like non-exploitative, of like the couple and their family. And I had pitched to the couple the idea of like a sort of pre-wedding shoot, because it was on the island anyway. The island's like super important to them. That particular bay is where they got engaged, and like it was all very meaningful for them. And I had pitched them the idea of like they could do personal letters, or I have done in the past like interview style story sessions with couples before, and I showed them a couple of examples and basically like let them pick what they were comfortable with, rather than try to push them into a box of what I think is appropriate. And they had said that they would be very interested in writing letters to each other and reading them out like in the days and running up to the wedding. And the day came where we were going to do this shoot, and it was obviously, the weather was pretty violent. I turned up at the wee bay a good 45 minutes beforehand, because if I'm not half an hour early, I'm already late in my own head. And I was sitting in my car and I was looking at the wing mirror and I could see the road where they're going to turn in, and I'm like, if I can pull this off, like this will be a really, really cool shot. Like I'll get them driving in, and they know what car I'm driving because we were on the same ferry. So hopefully they'll just pull in beside me. So I waited for ages. I've got the camera like resting on like the armrest, and it's obviously raining, so like the rain's all coming in, and I see the van appearing at the top of the road, and then just before they come down, another van pulls in, and the first half of that clip is just me swearing profusely that I've been waiting for 45 minutes, and this fucking guy is going to ruin this shot for me. But thankfully he drew past me just in time, and then that van draws in. And I think that's a good example of like seeing a shot and putting yourself in the right position for the shot.
Yeah.
But like that wasn't scripted. I didn't phone them up and tell them like what to do.
Yeah.
Like that happened, and I got that shot, and it's the opening of my film, and it feels real and genuine, and they'll know that was real and genuine. Like, does that make sense? So it's not a scripted event.
Yeah.
And that changes the feel of it for me. Which is maybe a little bit precious because you know other people don't know, but I'm not making that film for other people. I'm making that film for them.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell it's not perfect because like the nose of the van just goes a little bit too far, and like in an ideal world,
I didn't notice that.
It just stopped perfect.
See,
but-
Nah, it's such a cool shot.
When you sent me that film, Stevie, I think I sent you a voice note about 20 seconds after pressing play. Just go, no, let's just talk about this shot. Like, how on earth? How on earth did you get that? I was just so impressed immediately because it looked rehearsed, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it
It's not.
wasn't.
It was great. It was a really good shot. And we'll put the link of the video in our show notes.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
it's an incredible video. Go and watch it. I
Yeah.
mean, just you understand what I mean when you see the beach shots.
That's the one I thought should have been in the UK wedding film of the year, but it was your Edinburgh.
I don't think I entered it into that. I think I
Did you
entered
not?
it into storytelling. Like,
Right.
I think my kind of, I was confused as to what film should be entered where for the British Film Festival. Like, so that film, is it an elopement? Well, it's not really, but it's a micro wedding. So does it fit in? What box does it fit into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shoot quite a lot of elopements, micro weddings. Obviously, being in Scotland, you get a lot of. Scotland is the destination for destination weddings, you know. So you get a lot of people travelling over, either just as a couple or very small groups. So I shoot a lot of these weddings where there is no after party, there is no dancing. And it's a very different film because you're not building up to that party. You're kind of building up to the ceremony, and then you're maybe coming back down a little bit. So it's a slightly different. It's paced differently to a full day.
Yeah. I mean, I would structure a whole film differently if I didn't have dancing to fall back on. But then
Yeah.
again, going back to what we said before, the structure of a wedding film is that it usually ends with dancing. Why? Because it's the end of the night. But like, does it add to the story? Who knows?
Yeah.
Need to evaluate that as well. But yeah, on the Win Film Festival, obviously a surprise to yourself to get the nominations. I was obviously sat right behind you at the time. How, like, I wasn't saying a surprise and like, oh yeah, I'm surprised Stevie got it, but like you were surprised obviously when it happened. But yeah, just talk us through the night and sort of your reaction to getting those nominations and what that sort of means, what it's sort of done for your confidence.
It's very validating, like, to know that, like, the work that you're producing is, like, recognised by, you know, your peers, you know, a panel of your peers. And whilst, like, you didn't win any awards, it's more about, like, that recognition of the overall quality of the work, and how I then evaluate the work that I've done and how I improve on that, and to know that what I'm doing is good, but doing the work on, you know, my own education and looking at external influences to see how I can, like, make better films, better films for, like, my couples, which is kind of like the crux of it all. Like, so these are films that the films that I submitted to the awards were all significantly longer than the recommended length of time, but they were the films that I made for the couples, and that's the best film that I can make.
Yeah.
And I didn't spend the time, like, cutting stuff out. I'm like, I don't. If I make this film shorter, I'll make it worse.
Yeah.
But I think that's a key thing to remember, is that we're making work. I'm making work for my couples, and if I can continue to tell these stories in quite an emotional way, but also start to, you know, accept these influences from externally and bring a little bit more of that imperfect aspect of wedding films back, like a little bit more of the run and gun, a little bit more of the caught off guard moments. Does that make sense? So when I to go back to mentoring, like, one of Richard Lang's, like, criticisms of my work was that it was just too perfect. Like, as in, it was too.
Yeah.
It was just, everyone was too clean. It was too obvious. It was like composition was strong, but it was like the same composition all the time. I actually had an inquiry, and they went a different direction because they wanted work that was more candid, and my work wasn't candid. And I'm thinking to myself, well, my work is 95% candid. But it's one of these things in the wedding industry where I know what they meant by the use of the word candid. It's like when people say cinematic, it's like we all kind of know that cinematic's not the right word, but it's like a word that we've kind of adopted and understood. Editorial would be another one in the photo space.
Yeah.
Like editorial photographers are not really editorial, but it's been adopted into the language of the wedding industry, and we all understand what it means.
Are you tired of CRM just not getting the basic things right?
Things like being able to customize your brand fully,
Or constantly sending your emails to their spam folder?
or the juicy stuff, getting analytics into performance.
That's why we have made the switch to Wedola.
The CRM built by wedding pros for wedding pros.
It's honestly the prettiest CRM we've ever seen.
To help you make the switch, we're offering 3 months free on Wedola by entering the code TWVP.
Wedola, the community-built CRM for wedding professionals. So, Stevie, now we've talked about how perfect, you know, your wedding films have been and how amazing they are. You ever had a really big balls up at a wedding?
So I was thinking about this, and obviously after having like a long time in the industry, I've had a lot of close calls. Do you know, like I've like there's things that have happened where like I've got down to my last backup of something, but like that fail safe has always been there. But I think the closest I've came to proper irredeemable mistake was I shot an elopement in Skye, and I was working the day before, and I was like, right, I don't really want to drive 5.5 hours in the morning to Skye. I'll travel halfway and I'll stay in Fort William. So I travelled up to Fort William. I got there about midnight, went to bed, got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and put the location into the sat nav. Now I've been to Skye numerous times, shot in Skye, got married on Skye, know the way to Skye. Put it into the sat nav anyway. Drove through Fort William, kind of had a little bit like, oh, I don't usually go this road, but you know, it's what the sat nav is telling me. Drove all the way to the ferry terminal at Mallaig because the sat nav wanted me to go the ferry because it thought it was 2 minutes quicker.
Oh my God.
Got to the ferry terminal and then thought, I'm fucked. Like I'm gonna be late. Like I'm not gonna make it in time. So I adhered to all road traffic regulations, booted it back to Fort William, up to Skye, and then arrived like 5 minutes past 11 when I was supposed to be there at 11.
Wow.
But like I think my heart rate was like at 110 for that entire journey.
Because
like,
how many hours?
Like
how many hours driving?
It's like 2 or 3 hours. But like Fort William's like essentially halfway almost.
Yeah.
Because when you go onto Skye itself, like Skye's big.
Yeah.
Like you still need to like travel the interior of Skye.
I just don't think people in
shitloads.
England really suffer from this issue, but I've had this like 2 or 3 times where I forget to just zoom out. Like in my head, I've got a route planned. I know kind of how long it's going to take, and that's where you don't question it because you think I know how long this is going to take, but because it's 2 minutes quicker, it didn't tell you there. I did Carrick Castle Estate, well over in the west, and it sent me south. Like I didn't go over the Erskine Bridge essentially, which I had thought I'd planned, and it was only at that point I'm like, oh Christ, this is giving me the route I've been planning has been duped to me. It's
should really give you some kind of like pop-up warning, or shouldn't it? This route requires you to go on a fucking ferry.
Sometimes I think it does, and we just don't check it. But
so honestly, like I'm so anal now about like seeing night before, double checking and making sure that like the route is actually accurate.
Yeah,
you know,
that would be wise.
I especially have to do that now as well because I've got the Tesla and I need to make sure that I've got the
enough charge.
enough charger, and I don't need to factor in some kind of supercharger station on the way. But hey, at least don't need to pay diesel prices now. But Stevie, it's been awesome having you on today, mate. I think it's been an incredible pod. Loads of people will get loads from it. Maybe a little bit of inspiration as well, to be honest, to maybe even seek out some mentoring themselves. For those of the people out there, where if they want to, chat to you or find out more about you, where can they do so?
So Instagram handle is Journal Wedding Films, and the photography side of my business is now my full Sunday name, which is Stephen William Weir. So both on Instagram, and as you can both attest, I love a voice note. I love a bit of gear chat. Hit me up. Chances are, if you're thinking about buying a bit of gear, go to Stevie. Don't go to Amazon reviews. Go to Stevie. He'll have bought it. Either still has it or has returned it and can save you that route to go down.
But if you're not into gear, I've had plenty of conversation with Stevie. That's been delightful about business and mindset and everything, all sorts. Like, all round great conversationalist.
Loves a chinwag. So yeah, if you want to have a chat with him, feel free. I'm sure he'll get back to you. Well, that has been a belter. Looking forward to getting this one out. But anything you want to finally add? You all good?
I think I'm good. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been class. Well, folks, that's all we've got time for this week. I've been Danny.
I've been Jace.
I've been Stevie.
See you next week, folks.